Okay, so hey everybody. My name is Professor Kalsee Kohs. I am a professor here at DiviNation Academy. Thank you so much for being here with me tonight. Tonight, this is my series on magic, paganism, and witchcraft basics, and I am teaching all about protection magic, how to protect yourself. But that is what we're going over here tonight. So since we have a lot of new students here tonight, I'm going to go over a little bit of housekeeping. If you have never been with DiviNation Academy before, thank you so much for finding us. We are an online pagan academy. We do some in-person events, but most of our stuff is online. And we believe that everything should be free and accessible to all. So everything that we do for you guys will always be free and accessible to you. We never charge you anything. That's what we believe, and that's our philosophy for you. How you can get in contact with us and how you can find out more about us. Number one way is going to be our Facebook page. I will pop the link into the chat there for you. If you want to enroll after class tonight with us and become a student with us, send us a message. Send us a message saying, I want to enroll as a student. One of our admins will reach out to you. It may not be right away. It might take a little bit because we do only have a handful of admins that handle all those messages, but we will get back to you. When you enroll, you get access to our private Facebook community. You get access to our chats, our private chats. In those chats, you pretty much get access to your professors all the time. And then you get access to a lot of other things. So definitely reach out to us there. The next thing that you'll want to know about us is going to be our YouTube page. I'll put the link in here. This is where almost all of our classes get posted. They get reviewed by a director and then they will get posted. So it's not like an immediate, but she reviews them and then they get posted there for you. We have, I think, last I checked, like 136 videos on there about a lot of awesome different topics, like not astral projection right now. We have numerology coming up. We have Norse mythology, Celtic Fae mythology. We have dark goddess devotionals. We have moon magic. We have Enochian magic. We have a lot of topics on there, so definitely just go check it out. And then the last resource that I have here for you about us is going to be our website. On here, is our somebody's been posting that in there for me. Thank you, whoever just did that. But that's our website. Even if you're a student, if you're not a student, go and check it out. We have so many resources there. Our study guides get linked there. We have books there. We have bibliographies. We have stuff about our professors. We have our private apprenticeships that we offer. We have our certification programs that we offer. And everything there is free and accessible to you at all times. So go and look at it. There's so much stuff there. The last bit of housekeeping that I have is, especially since we have a lot of new students here tonight, it's just a little bit about myself. So again, my name is Kalsee Kohs. I'm a solitary practitioner. I've been practicing for about 15 plus years. I am a gray practitioner, so I pull from all paths. I pull from what people consider dark and baneful, and I pull from what people consider light and love. I am also a mystic, so I pull from every single pantheon, culture, religion. I have studied underneath many different masters in shamanism, witchcraft, magic, pagan religions, a lot of different things. And I versed in a lot of different topics. So when I'm teaching tonight, just remember I'm coming from a gray perspective. So there are things in here some people are going to consider evil or bad or baneful. That is not how I view things. I view things energetically. So light is simply just the absence of darkness, and darkness is simply just the absence of light. That is how I teach it, and that is how I approach it. So we'll get into this. We have a lot to go over. The study guide is huge. Protection. Everybody asks about it. I think that this is probably one of the first things people want to learn about when they come to paganism or Wiccan or any type of witchcraft is protection. That seems to be the big reason that drives people here is they want spiritual protection, whether it's from spirits or just their energy or coming to the spirituality and pagan witchcraft from a mental health perspective as well. People are always looking for protection. There are pretty much endless ways for you to protect yourself. There really are. What I'm going to go over with you tonight is as many ways as I could possibly remember and I can possibly get my hands on and get resources together for you. That is a framework for you to start on. Everybody, how they protect themselves is going to be different. Everybody's going to use different methods. And every method is going to work different for everybody. And then you can always tweak it for yourself as too. So just remember that, like, this is a fluid practice. This is a fluid thing. You will be able to change things to how it's going to work for you. And this is your framework for your beginning of protection, and how to protect yourself. So what really is protection, like, as a whole? And when it comes to like witchcraft, paganism, like, what does that like really mean? So when it comes to like the structure of protection, what you're really looking at is it's a form of shielding or guarding your energy. And most witches are super highly empathetic. Most pagans are super highly empathetic. So we absorb energies around us, and every human does that anyways. So protection creates this safe space for your home, your body, your property, your soul, your energy. That's the point and the key for protection. When it comes to protection from magic, you can also use it to reflect. You can use it to neutralize. You can use it to eliminate negative energy that's directed towards you, your property, your sacred space, or your loved ones. And this also can include like evil spirit attacks or dark entity attacks or even curses and hexes, because those do happen. Those are a thing. I use them. I love them. They have their purposes, but you do have a way to protect yourself from them from other people as well. Protection also helps you understand your own energy. So protection helps you understand like your own personal energies. It helps you be able to differentiate between what your energy is and what an outside energy source is that's trying to affect you, that's trying to influence you. It helps you be able to differentiate between your energy and your loved one's energy, so you can see, you can feel, and you can know when they're being harmed or attacked. It helps you create the barrier between your space and yourself and be able to identify those energies as well. The different forms that we're going to have, there's pretty much 4 different levels when it comes to protection. And the levels of protection that you're really going to start with first are going to be magical cleansing and purifying. When it comes to magical cleansing and purifying, you're going to want to do it routinely. Right now, I'm doing an overview, by the way, guys. I'm going to go really nitty gritty into how to do this a little bit later, but this is an overview on what protection is right now, and the different types that you have and to encounter. When it comes to cleansing and purifying, you want to do it routinely. You want to do it for yourself, your home, your pets, your magical tool, your sacred space. You can cleanse your car. You can cleanse your office space. Cleansing and purifying is for all of that energetic space around you, yourself, anything that's about that. When it comes to cleansing and purifying, what you're really doing is it's another way to clean. It's a way to clean, scrub, remove, detoxify, get rid of, separate that energy from you, and to remove it from you to where it's no longer affecting you. The next level that you have is going to be level 2, which is going to be magical shielding. That includes wards and spiritual protection. So this is where you get to the part where you're going to start putting up things, whether it's tools or energetic barriers or things like that, to protect from entities, to protect from energy, to protect from other people. Shielding and warding is different. I'll break that down a little bit further in a little. I'll break that down in more detail a little bit later, but that is included in here. When it comes to like shielding and warding, that's the barrier to stop something from getting to you. That's the way to look at it, the difference between like purifying and cleansing. Something's already there. You're removing that. That's the step of protection, of removing what's already there. The shielding, the wardings, and the spirit protection is the layer to stop that from happening, to try to stop that from getting to you. It's that protection that you put up in front of you. If you're like a Star Trek person, it's like the red shield going up. If you like, it's like a wall going up. It's a barrier. If you're into video games, it's like a plasma thing going up. That's kind of a way to visualize it and think about it. Level 3 is going to be banishing. So this is where like when wards fail, when shields fail, like this is where you actually take it a next level step further. This is to where you end up like actually like physically, like energetically, completely like removing and not allowing to come back in. So this is like a 2-step part. Like banishing is literally like you are never allowed back. Like it's a permanent thing. It's a way, usually you do those with really strong spirits. You do that with energy that you don't want to be around anymore. I consider cord cutting a form of banishing. Some people don't, but I consider cord cutting a form of banishing because you are making that a permanent, you're making that a permanent barrier. You're making that a permanent cutoff. Some people don't like to banish. Some people do consider it painful. So some people aren't okay with that. If that's not part of your practice, that's fine. But again, like you may need it when it comes to stronger spirits, stronger energies, and things like that. The next level is going to be binding spells. So that's when you're like binding literally typically means like you're literally like symbolically and energetically like tying something together and sealing it shut to where like it doesn't have the ability to like release itself and move really anymore. Again, some people consider binding baneful magic as well because you're influencing another person's free will, you're influencing another person's energy, and some people aren't okay with that. I think that binding, there's fantastic times to be able to do that. If somebody's having issues with bullying, I don't see an issue with binding that bullying to try to stop those reactions from happening. If somebody is having issues with mental health and depression and suicidal ideation, I don't see an issue with binding somebody and those emotions to try to stop that from happening. I don't see an issue with that personally. But again, that's your path, and it's going to be up to you to decide if that's something that you want to do or not. So those are going to be the basic overviews of the 4 different types of breakdowns of like the levels of types of warding that you have and protection that you have, that you can use against yourself. It's used to protect yourself, your space, and your loved ones. So would vanishing work if you did not know someone was targeting you with evil thoughts? Yes. I'm going to go over how to know when somebody is targeting you and when to know when to do when you know when to do each thing. I'm going to go over that into a lot more detail. So types of protections, we've kind of gone over it briefly, but I'm going to break this down a lot more now. So you've wards specifically, they are protective spells that create a shield or a barrier to prohibit bad influences from crossing a line or a space. So a lot of people like assault circle, that's something a lot of people commonly will know about as like a possible ward. It creates that barrier to stop something from going over. Reflections are similar to wards. They create a shield around a certain line. Assault circle can also be viewed as this as well. But instead of just preventing unwanted influences from energy, it actually acts as a reflecting of harmful energy as well. So it is actually going to take whatever energy is coming at it and push it back at that. That is what reflecting is. It's not just stopping it. It is taking it. It is bouncing it back. It is returning it to sender. A lot of people will know return to sender spells. That's where you'll see like reflection. Mirror spells, people will use those where they'll put their mirrors around the home to reflect that energy back. That's another example some people might know. So that's reflection. Reflection's a type of protection. Camouflage is another type of protection. It's like if most people know what camouflage is. Camouflaging an example of this would be glamour magic, which I'm going to go over a little bit later as well in more detail. So this would be a form of camouflage, and it's really just merely hiding a target from magical forces. You also have combat protective spells that you can use, which they are exactly what they say they are. They're combative, they're reactive, they protect you. Centering and grounding is also considered a protection. I'm sure almost everybody's heard of centering and grounding at some point in their life. If you've been on a spiritual journey, a spiritual path, a mental health path, like you've heard about centering and grounding, what that is it's finding your energy center and allowing the natural flow within your body. And you have the ability to release excessive energy and to release things that are disturbing your energy as well, which is why that's seen as a protection. You also have protective puppets you can make, which usually these puppets will have protective herbs, sigils, salts, and crystals, and personal reflections. They're a type of tool that you can make. There's a lot of different tools that you can do for protection. Another tool is a protective amulet. You also have your witch's ladder that you can do. I'm going to go into detail on how to do that later. It's a protective amulet that's typically made of like twigs and feathers, also knots. You can use that with knot magic for a witch's ladder. It's a protective amulet that's been used for centuries. It's very ancient. Tool that you can use. Protection spell jars. You can make very potent spell jars for protection. They can be placed anywhere. I have one in all 4 corners of my home. I have one in all 4 corners of my property. I have one in I have one in my son's room. I have one in my room. I have one in my car. So that is an option. Like protection jar spells are amazing. I'm going to go over those in more details as well later. You have charm bags that you can use as well. They're similar to spell bags, spell jars. They're similar to like spell satchels, but they're more like charms, and charms are more for protection. And I love the charm bags because they're smaller and you can carry them with you. You can keep them in smaller places. And if you're in the broom closet and like you still aren't like really out in the open about practicing, it's something a lot easier to hide for protection. You can also do veiling, which is a pagan and witchcraft practice. And what it is to where it's a magical process to where you're covering your head, your hair, and your crown chakra. to protect your energy. And it's really, really helpful for empaths specifically, and for those with heightened psychic abilities for protection. It helps give you a little bit of a break from that energy for a little while as well. Another form of protection a lot of people have probably heard about is visualizing protective bubbles or protective energy. You don't even need tools. You can protect yourself with your own energy. I'm going to go into a little bit more detail on how to do that later as well. There's protective oils that you can use for guarding. There's protective incense. There's spells that you can do for protection. Also, good luck spells are fabulous for protection because good luck spells bring good fortune, which is going to clear out the misfortune. Protective oils are amazing. I just saw that pop up in the chat. There's also the banishing and self-dispense spells. There's meditations for protection. You can use all sorts of type of sprinkling water. You can mist it. You can use it to consecrate for protection. There are, like I said, there's countless tools. I'm going to go over a lot of tools a little bit later, but there's countless tools. We have, Jacob's box. You can use horseshoes. There's witches' balls. There's incense. There's so many tools. I'm going to go over a lot of tools. There is a ton of tools though, so we'll go over that. So why in the world would you even need to cast protection? Like why? Like people are like, well, why? If I don't know that anybody's attacking me, like why? If I don't feel like negative energy is coming at me, like why do I need to protect myself? No matter if you think that you feel it or not, you are always absorbing energies. You're always going to be absorbing both positive, negative energies at all times. It's the balance of the universe. It's the way that the flow of the energy works. So you are going to always be constantly absorbing those energies. So you want to protect yourself in some way. You want to set yourself up for protection ahead of time. And then the cleansing and the purifying is the continuous protection that's going to come up throughout your life. And like we are in a world of vibrations, like high vibrations, low vibrations, light vibrations, dark vibrations. Like you get to control those vibrations within yourself. And if you're not protecting yourself, you allow others' energy to influence you. That influences your reality, it influences your emotions, it influences so many things, it influences your manifestation. So there's really endless reasons for why you need to protect yourself and why you should be. Not just because you think you're being attacked, not just because you think that evil spirits are after you or demons or anything like that. Everybody should be protecting themselves in some way, shape, or form at all times. Because you are always being influenced by energies, the energies of the earth, those around you, the other planets, like every situation that you're in, you're experiencing somebody else's energy. I'm going to take a moment here. Does anybody have any questions before I go on to the next chunk? If I'm going too fast with talking, please let me know. I can talk a little bit fast and I have a lot to go through, so I feel like I might be rushing a little bit. I'm also going to look through the chat here just to see if I missed anything. But if you do have any questions, you can raise your hand or unmute yourself or put it in the chat. Okay. What if I feel negative energy from my neighbors? How do I block the empath in me? So I'll talk about that a little bit later, Alicia. Yep, you could do sigils as well for protection. I actually have some in here. Protective mist. Yep, they're fabulous. Hi, Paul. Does protection also apply to illnesses? Yes, you can use protection for illnesses as well. I'm pretty sure I have a section in the study guide about that. Being recorded, is there a place we can get the recording, or it's not going to be? So yes, this is being recorded. You can get access to it on the YouTube page. When, I do not know. It's not going to be an immediate thing. Our director reviews every single one of our classes to make sure we're not going to break any one of the weird YouTube rules and get our page banned and not be able to have our classes there for you guys anymore. But yes, it will be posted. I just do not know when. Hello and thank you. Would binding alcoholism be a valid for... That's a tricky one. I would say that yes, you can use it as an enhancement to help with that, but that's really a mental health thing. There are things to where like your spirituality and magic can enhance, they can help, but mental health, like there are things that magic and spirituality is not going to replace mental health to help with. So yes, you can use them to help, but still treatment still needs to be a part of that when it comes to alcoholism. Are any methods more effective for repelling gang stalking from live humans? You've already exhausted mundane means. You can use a lot of the different baneful tactics for that one. Yeah, we'll go over that. And what is the YouTube link? Okay, Paul, thank you for putting that in there. And as a study guide, yep. Okay, thank you. Okay, fabulous. Okay, I don't see any other questions. So besides that, I don't see any hands raised unless I missed them. Did I miss them? No, I didn't. Fabulous. Okay, so next chunk here that we're gonna go over basics. So I'm curious. Had very bad blood with someone for over a year. Things are better, but I love to protect myself from it ever bubbling up again. There's lots of ways to do that, Heather. There's so many different ways to do that. You can bind them. You can do a freezer spell. You can do a cord cutting. You can have protection around your home. You can protection around yourself. Personally, I have so many layers of protection in my life magically that I couldn't even list them all, to be honest, and everything that I put in place and what I do. And it really helps. But for instances with specific people and like having really hard relationships with them, binding, freezing, and cord cutting, those are like going to be the go-to ones to do with that. Binding, freezing, cord cutting. You could also do blood magic as well. If you're comfortable with doing that, some pepper magic could work as well for protection. So then that's at that point, then Heather, like that's gonna come down to you and creating boundaries and maintaining boundaries, and then also doing a protective shield with yourself. You can have sigils around yourself as well, because if you're gonna continue to put yourself in that energy, you can only protect yourself up to a certain point. Yes, Paul, I agree with you. That's how I do it too. I start with my stuff and then it goes all the way around. I totally agree with you. And the layers upon layers I have even on my property is insane. Okay, so I will get out of the chat now. Okay, so basic correspondences for protection that you can use in all different works with protection. If you haven't been with me before, what a correspondence is a correspondence is a symbol, a thing. It is the energy that can attach and represent that energy. It's a bridge of connection to you and that energy. It's a bridge to amplify. It represents that energy. It helps create and hold that energy. It helps you hold that sacred container in that sacred space. That's what correspondences are. They're things that literally are tied to that energy, are tied to that symbol, and attached to that thing. So basic protection correspondences. So for crystals, you want to use pretty much anything black. So obsidian, black tourmaline, anything like that is going to be fantastic. I personally really love smoky quartz as well. Some people that's hit or miss, but I love smoky quartz for protection. Amethyst also, and then tiger's eye is great. There's a lot of lists of crystals, but this is just like basic ones. Colors, you're going to want to use black, white, and purple. Those are going to be really great for protection, black, white, and purple. Also, I use green because if you bring up good fortune and luck, that's green. And I use good fortune and luck for protection all the time. And then when it comes to timing, Tuesdays and Saturdays are great days to be doing this. Also the waning moon and full moon. And then if you do more alchemy, I have such a hard time saying the word, more like an alchemy based practice. I hear from Paul that there are protection, like when it comes to protection, like there's actually very specific times during the day to do that. So if you're going to go that route, make sure that you research that and you get that correctly. Because yeah, he said that that is very, did you buy some like this because of me, Robin? I'm sorry. I love that. That definitely sidetracked me. I apologize, guys. I love that. And then herbs and oils you're going to want to use are going to be black pepper, basil, clove, lavender, sage. Be careful about what sage you use because some types of sage are connected to closed practices. So please do your research on that. Cayenne pepper as well, dill, fennel, thyme, and rosemary and mugwort. The other day is Saturday. I thought the light crystals for protection. Can you explain? So I've always known it as black crystals for protection. When it comes to like amethyst, I have known that for protection because of its attachment to anxiety. I've personally never heard like yes, there are some that can be used for protection. Like I would think a tide to the moon, when it comes to like selenites and moonstone and things like that, you can also use for protection. But I've always used black stones for protection. Because black connects you to the dark and the shadow, and that also helps you bring forth balance within the energy. So I've always used it that way, and also because I am a gray practitioner, I don't do things with just light. That's just not how I view things. I view that as like super imbalanced to the universe. Okay, so other things that are correspondences, zodiac signs that you can work with really well for protection. Aries is super great for that. There's countless deities that you can use for protection. Countless deities. It really just depends on what you're wanting to use the protection for. The Morrigan, I personally use the Morrigan a lot for protection for deities. Lilith protects my home. She's at my threshold. I use Hades also for protection. I've used Aries for protection. Any war deity is amazing for protection. So there are literally countless deities that you can use for protection. It depends on your pantheon and culture and your practice and your path. So that is another way that you can have protection as well, is using your, for correspondences, is pulling in those deities that are specific for protection and pulling in that archetype energy and having that there with you. Because now we're getting on to this next chunk of it, which is using your own energy for protection. You can use your own energy. You can use archetype energy. You can use deity energy. You don't have to use tools. You don't have to create anything. You can simply use the energy around you. In the study guide, I put a couple different techniques. There's one called the aura sweep. There's also the infinity cleanse and the chakra rub. The aura sweep really like goes over like your whole body. The infinity cleanses really helps with like teaching you how to create that energy within your space, within your hands, and being able to feel that, see that, and understand that. And the chakra rub really helps with protection and realignment with your chakras as well, making sure those are aligned and you're protecting each of those spaces and each of those portals. What did I just see in the head? Lady Hell is amazing for protection. Yeah, as well. Almost honestly, any of the dark goddesses I've used for protection. Hecate, yes, I've used Hecate as well. I don't prefer her though for protection. I don't feel like she's brutal enough for protection. I like the Morrigan way more for protection. Yes, yes, honey. Yes, you are. Yes. Okay, so using your own energy as a shield. So you have your own shield that you can pull up and you can call upon. There's so many different methods to be able to do this. And there's so many different ways to view it. You can view at it from an energetic viewpoint to where it's all vibrationals. You can view it to where you can physically see the energy and it's like more of like an aura color and you can see, you can feel, and that's all around you. But you have that energetic shield. There's many, like I said, there's many different techniques to be able to pull it up. When you need that shield to protect yourself, you have the ability to pull that up whenever you need it. That's the ability, that's the amazing part of using this energetic shield and not having that tools, is if you feel something coming to you, or you feel unsettled, you feel uneasy, or if you're even just in a space that you haven't been in before and you just need some protection around you, you have that ability to do that. The amazing part about this is that you get to choose what filters in and out of your energetic shield and your energetic barrier. So it's not like this end all be all, absolutely nothing comes in and comes out. You get to choose, like you get to control that. And that's a huge reason why I love using the energetic barrier that way, because that is like, it's your personal filter. You get to choose what comes in, comes out. You get to choose how long it stays in place, how long it's like when it comes up, when it goes down. When it comes to calling it forth, in the study guide, I did give you guys a couple. I wrote it out super detailed, step-by-step instructions of how to pull this forward, how to use it. A super common one is the bubble. The bubble is a super common one that everybody kind of really starts with. And that's where you are grounding yourself, you're centering yourself, you're getting into your sacred space, your meditative state, and you are visualizing this giant bubble of energy. And you are visualizing either in front of you or around you, however you want to start. I started personally in front of me at first, just so I could visually see it. And then I moved back to doing around me. But it's your practice, whatever works for you, whatever you feel however you feel the energy is flowing. So it's creating that bubble, visualizing it, seeing it, and being able to physically like hang on to it then at that point. I gave you step-by-steps on that, how to take that bubble and use that bubble. Another way is using light. People will visualize light. They will focus on light. They will use different colors. A lot of people really like using white light because it's a purifying, cleansing color, and people like find comfort in white light. I have used white light. I've used black light. I personally almost always use gray though, because I am a gray practitioner and to have balance and for protection. So whatever, there are times where I've used green light for protection. I've used red light for protection. I've used yellow light for protection because I wanted to call forth abundance and good fortune. Or I wanted red was for protection in my relationships and love and in sex and all of that. So it just depends on what you're calling it forth. But you get to literally sit in your meditative state, ground, and then you visualize it as an actual light. You can start as like a little ball in front of you, and then you can expand it. The more you do this and the more you work with it, the more you're going to be able to call forth this shield, the more you're going to be able to use it for your protection. Like I said, you're going to be able to call this up when you need to. Once you're able to see that and you work with it, then you're going to start to, personally, I talk to it and I reinforce it with affirmations. I reinforce it with mantras. I speak to my shield in that way. I also give it gratitude and I thank it for everything that it does for me. And that also connects my filter to it. It makes it to where I can filter what I want going in and out of it a lot better. How do I get through someone's? Hold on. There's a bunch going on here. Yes, thank you, Paul. When you do an aura sweep, you may have to do several. It just depends. You are correct. Yes. Is there a way to take the energy of the person? Oh, heal before hex, cure before crit. Thank you, Paul. How do I get through someone's protection? Paul, yes, Paul. It just depends on their level of protection and the extent of their experience. Yes. I'm gonna leave that answer at that too. Okay. Give me 1 second here, guys. I have so much in here for you when it comes to stuff. So in the study guide, I have about 10 different pages, it looks like, when it comes to shielding and how to shield, how to use it, how to call it forth, lots of different techniques, and what it could do for you. Oh, you're making me laugh tonight. Okay, so next step of protection, which is super common, I feel like not every pagan uses it. Almost a lot do. It's super, super common. You don't have to use it. You don't have to do this, but calling a circle and casting a circle. Very, very, very common form of protection. It's a way to protect yourself when performing spells. It's a way to protect yourself when you're contacting and speaking with a deity. It's a way to protect yourself when you're invoking and summoning a deity or any other entity. It is a way to protect your home. It is a way to protect others that are in ritual with you. It's a way to protect your pets. Casting a circle it's pretty much like it's a very protective barrier while you're doing spell work, when you really simplify it down. It's a super fundamental skill, I feel, but like I said, not everybody does cast a circle. You don't have to cast a circle every time you do ritual work. You don't have to cast a circle every time you work with a deity. But sorry, I got super distracted by the chat here for a second. Thank you, Paul, for that notation. Yes, because please be super careful with salt. Be super. And if you have pets, please be super careful about putting salt inside with pets, because you don't want your pets like going up and licking and ingesting like salts, an excessive amount of salt. Like that can actually be really bad for them. So yes, if you put it inside, just like be careful of your pets if you have pets, please. Okay, so back to the circle thing. I'm so sorry that I got distracted by the chat. I need to stop looking at it. So when it comes to circles, tip for beginners when it comes to circle as well, like never, 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 never cast your circle without taking the actual time to have the intention behind it and set behind it and know what you are going to say beforehand to cast that circle. Because once you start casting that circle, what you cast and what words come out, that's what's going to be included in your circle. That's what's going to be allowed to come in and out. So please, like if you've never cast a circle before, make sure that you have set the intention of what that circle is going to be before. before you do that. When you cast a circle as well, typically, again, like I said, it's at the beginning of a ritual, it's at the beginning of a ceremony, it's at the beginning of an energetic space or an energetic container. It can be done by anyone. There are some paths that don't agree with that. A lot of Wiccans feel that only high priestesses can cast circles. But again, it's dependent on your path and what vibes with you. Every path is different. But I don't feel like, I've been a solitary practitioner for 15 years. Casting circles is crucial to my practice. I'm a very ritualistic and ceremonial witch, and it's crucial. And I've never had a circle fail, or had an issues with it without being a high priestess in a coven. The difference, though, like I said, in Wicca, like they typically do believe that it does need to be a high priestess that's casting that, especially from the Gardanian tradition. Also in the Gardanian tradition, they also traditionally prefer their castles, their circle casting to be in 9-foot diameters. That's very specific for them. They also specifically make sure to also call in the directions. Not every circle cast uses those, but that is very common in Wicca. So if you are Wiccan, that is something that you want to make sure that you include in your circle casting, and if that's part of your practice. When it comes to circle casting, it's actually really simple. It takes a lot of energy, but it's actually really simple to do, in theory. So you want to concentrate and visualize your circle surrounding you and anybody else who's going to be in your circle. So for example, like when I do my rituals that I do with you guys, and I invoke and I summon deities for you guys every Sunday in my dark devotionals class, my dark goddess devotional class, my circle is not just visualized around me. My circle, I have to pull and I have to find everybody's cord that I can feel within my class, within my virtual class, and I have to cast my circle that wide. I have to cast it within everybody who has access to that link. Now, when I'm casting just in my home, my circle is just for myself. When I'm casting on my property, my circles is as large as my property. So you need to visualize what your circle is going to be and how big your space is going to be. That's step one when it comes to casting a circle. Then you're going to ground yourself. You're going to make sure you're grounded. You're going to make sure you're connected to the earth. You're going to make sure you're centered. You're going to make sure you're in a meditative space, sacred container, all the same verbiage. I use sacred container, but everybody has something different. So you're going to make sure that you're in that, and then you're going to use whatever tool you use. Personally, sometimes I'm just using crystals, but a lot of times I'm using actually my katana. That's my personal item. That's my very sacred personal tool. Most witches that have wands, I have a katana. That's what I use. And so that is typically, you hold that in your dominant hand, and then you use that energy, you call forth that energy, you visualize it. And some people believe that you need to draw your circle in the air, and that you need to draw it counterclockwise and actually draw it in the air. Sometimes I do, most of the times I don't. It's an energetic container. You don't have to if you don't want to. But if you feel that you need to, you draw it in the air. And then you invite your guardians, your gatekeepers. You do whatever chant and invocation that you're going to be doing. This will look different and sound different for everybody. This is where, like, if you're Wiccan, you would make sure that you're calling in the elements, you're calling in the goddess, you're calling in the horned god. That's where you'll be calling in that. If you've been to my ceremonies before, I call in a lot. I call in a ton for my circles. I call in guardians and gatekeepers of all directions of the elements. I call in spirit guides. I call in ancestors. I call in interdimensional beings. I call in supernatural entities, demons. I call everything in. There are times where I limit that. Sometimes it's only the elements. Sometimes it's only one specific deity. So this is where you invite whoever you want invited as your guardians and gatekeepers to hold that circle in place for you while you are performing your rituals, and to also help you. So that is where you do that. And then once you do that, your circle is cast. And that circle is going to stay cast until you close it. When it comes to if people enter in and out of the circle, and if they're allowed to, and if they enter in after it's been cast, if they're included in the energy or not, there's different beliefs on this. Some people say no, like, if you're not in that circle when it's cast, you can't be included in it. You can't, like, you're not a part of that. Like, you're outside of that circle. You need to be in it when it's cast. I come across that a lot more in Wiccan traditions. But I don't believe that way. Most of my masters that I've studied under don't believe that way. This is an energy that you have the ability to control, and you get to control who has access in and out, and you get to control the filter of it. So for example, when I cast my circle, it is intentionally written into my circles when I cast them that anybody who has the link has access to go in and out of my circle as needed. Anybody who like I have the cord connected to, they have that ability to do so. So again, like there's different views on that. Some people think that no, you can't enter and exit a circle. Some people do. Again, it's going to be your practice and what vibes for you. In the study guide, I did break down like 4 or 5 different very specific ways to cast circles. I gave you specific chants, and things like that for you to use for protection. Again, make sure you always close it when you are done. By closing it, you always want to thank and give absolute gratitude and reverence to whoever you called in to hold that circle. So you thank and you give gratitude to your guardians and your gatekeepers who are holding that circle and holding that energetic space for you. And you thank whatever energy that you used to perform your work while you were there. And then you release it. Some people simply just say they release it and it's released. Other people say some type of like ending prayer. If you've been to any of my ceremonies, mine are always ended and they're released when I say Amen, Aho, so mote it is. Because then I'm thanking all different cultures and all different pantheons, and that's how I release it. Some people, like I said, they literally simply say the circle's released and it's released. It just depends on you and what feels good for you. Okay. Any questions on circles quick before I go to the next chunk? Honestly, guys, this might get turned into next week beam protection as well. I might be bumping next week's topic and doing this in 2 nights because I don't know if I'm going to get through all this next 45 minutes. I'm going to check at the chat to see if I see anything. Okay, she calls it all elements of protection. Thank you, Robin, for recommending them. I love doing them. I'm doing, yes, Paul, there's times I have multiple circles going in as well, too. It takes so much energy, but it's definitely worth it. Okay, I don't see, oh, hand raised. You can unmute yourself and ask whatever question you have.
Hi, thank you. So my question is, when you're casting your circle, do you kind of like imagine the same bubble, or is just like, how do I picture my circle? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, yeah, okay,
Yep.
perfect. Thank you.
Yep. So you can use, so mine started as a bubble, like as the bubble and expanding the bubble for my circle, like actually like spherical, kind of like what you're saying. But for me, like it's really like it's actually like if you draw like an actual circle, like that's what I visualize. I visualize the actual line of the circle and where that barrier is and the energy that's like attached to it. So you like I physically visualize like as if I'm looking on the ground, like actually seeing a physical circle, like drawn like in chalk or like on a piece of paper. That's what I will visualize for my actual circle. But
Oh,
again, you
okay.
can use a bubble. You can also just use a color in like that energetic aura field as well.
All right, perfect. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Any other questions? I do this yep, I teach 3 different series right now every week. I have one on basic magic, witchcraft, and paganism. I have another series every Sunday that's dark goddess devotionals. So every week I teach you everything that there is about a different dark goddess, and I invoke and summon them for you to meet them. And then I also am starting a series on how to work with demons. I have a question. Which protection technique do you recommend for defending energy from immediate family members? They mean well, but they're holding, hold on. They're holding me back from reaching my true potential. I don't want their negative energy to be thrown back at them, though, if that makes sense. Cord cutting seems too intense for that. A freezer spell and a binding spell seems too intense for that as well. I would personally create a sigil probably for them myself. I would personally work on creating a sigil that reflects that that person's relationship to me and that person's energy to me. And I would work on by like doing the sigil with that. And then also, yeah, I was just gonna say too, like bubble, the energetic bubble and barrier. Because yeah, if you still want them to be in your life and you still want like some type of relationship with them, I think yeah, doing a freezer spell, binding spell, cord cutting, that's gonna be too intense. But yeah, the sigil I think would be amazing. I will get to the watchful eye. It is in the study guide. I will get to it. It is in there. It's one of the symbols. It is there. I will get to that. Okay, so the next section we have is cord cutting. I really, really wanted to talk about this one for protection because I feel like the spiritual community does not talk about this enough. They do not put enough emphasis on energetic cords to begin with. The energetic cords connect us to the spirit, the one, the universe. They connect us to each other. I feel like a lot of people shame other people for doing cord cutting. They try to steer people away from it. It's gotten this really bad image of like baneful magic and things like that. And this whole concept of family is family, love them no matter what has seeped in. And the spiritual community just doesn't talk about this enough in so many ways. Cord cutting is fantastic. It is a fantastic way to protect yourself. It is a fantastic way to create a barrier. It is a fantastic way to have boundaries with yourself and other people in your life. And like I said, everybody's attached to everybody through energetic cords. Like everybody is. So to not like talk about this and not be willing to do this just is to me just I just don't like it. So I really wanted to talk about this. So what an energetic cord actually is it's a spiritual rope that attaches your aura and your life or life force, same word, to another person's aura or life force. So it's an energetic, like these cords can get developed for so many different reasons. It could be just a simple one-time connection to meet with that person. It could be because you were, there's cords that you're born with because you're born with cords attached to your family. You're born with cords attached to those that you have already made contracts with your sacred contracts. These cords can get attached to because of relationships, friendships, sexual relationships, sexual partners. Like every time you have a sexual interaction with somebody, a cord gets created. So like these cords, like they're everywhere. They can get created for so many different reasons. They can be healthy and both not healthy. They can be both helpful and unhelpful. They have a way to be able to connect you to them emotionally and energetically. It's this connection between another person's aura, life force, soul. That is what cords are. That's what an energetic cord is. I've tried to do kind of research on this and throughout the years, and I come up really short. Maybe Paul or Alex has a little bit more information on this, but there's some information on colors for cords. There's not like I haven't found a ton of information. But what I do know and what I do have for cord colors is that cord colors and textures that are mostly negative are going to be like bright reds. And then like the dark reds and the black and gray. Again, I feel like this is also subjective and it's depending on your path because I don't view gray or black as negative. So it's going to depend on your practice. It's going to depend on your faith. Because when I hear that, I don't like it. My soul doesn't agree with that. So again, it's going to depend on your personal practice and your personal beliefs, but this is what I've found. And then commonly known as more positive cord colors, you're going to have light blue, royal blue, yellow, and then orange. And like those bright colors, there's more positive textures because you can see and visualize these colors with these cords. You'll also have some pink shimmering ones. You'll have white cords, green ones, and purple. I've seen cord colors of every color of chakra. I've seen cord colors that are really ethereal even and really like shimmery. So it really just depends. They really do look differently. But again, that's what I can find on cord color meanings, but it's really gonna depend on your personal practice and your personal beliefs. How to know when you need to do an energetic cord cutting. So a lot of times it's gonna depend on the color and your beliefs. If you see black, gray, or dark cords, people are gonna some people automatically will cut them and feel like you need to cut them because they have a negative attachment. That's gonna be, again, up to your personal belief and your personal practice. If you feel like there's a knot or a blockage in that cord, If it's a cord that's connecting you to a negative and harmful relationship. So cords with narcissists, cords with abusers, cords with bullies, like things like that, like those type of cords. Those will be like cords that you will be to know that you need to be cut. Also, if it's a relationship that's in the past that keeps coming up, like you keep trying to get away from that relationship and you clear your way self from that relationship, and then it just keeps coming up. Like you just can't seem to get away from it. Even if it's like a year or two or 3, 4, 5, and it just keeps popping up, that's an indicator that a cord needs to be cut. If the cord feels and you see that it looks like it's crusted or deteriorating or chipped or like it's dying. Also vampiric cords. So there's cords of people that are literally just going to suck the energy out of you. Like they're really just going to try to pull it. And they're like, there are energy vampires. So you have cords like that you'll be able to pull. Also, it is possible for one person, one connection to connect multiple cords. So if you seem like it's being pulled like in multiple different directions toward that one entity and that one cord, but it's still kind of like tugging, and you can also visually see that, you shouldn't really have multiple cords. It's messy. How do you know the cord color? You will be able to see and visualize it when you're looking for that energetic cord. That's how you'll know the cord color. I agree with that too, Paul. Tendrils and cords are different. Can you rebuild and connect a cord if you cut one at one time but want that person? Yes, honey. Yes, because it can also rebuild without you wanting to rebuild it. There are some connections that my personal belief is it's a sacred contract connection to where you may cut that cord as many times as you want, but if that is a sacred contract connection and that is a lesson that you were supposed to be learning within your sacred contract, you can cut that cord as many times as you want. It's not going anywhere. So yes, I do believe that you can recreate them. I do believe it's possible. I've seen it. I've done it with friendships in the past. But again, on that topic as well, like they can come back and you not want them to come back. Personally, I have done a cord cutting for my narcissistic abusive mother. I've lost count how many times. It's at least once a year. And it always grows back. And I've done it. Yeah. Okay, so other signs that you have negative cords are going to be if you feel you have emotional and mental blockages, relationship problems, like your relationships start to get very like turbulent. They start to get very emotional, very up and down. If you start to feel drained of energy all the time, like you are just tired and drained of energy all the time. So I will have to get back to you, Vincent, on that one. I can't answer questions about the dream world. I always have to refer them to other teachers and professors. I have never, ever in my entire life had access to the dream world. I've never had a dream my entire life, so I do not have access to that. I can't help you with that. But I will pass your question along to other professors, and then I can see if I can get that information. So how do you do an energetic cord cutting? Some people believe that you need to have the lights turned off and all the electronics off. It just depends. I personally have done it both with or without. You want to make sure your eyes are closed. You focus very hard on your breathing. It's almost like a meditative breathing. You make sure that you get it in and out very steady, and you want it continuous for at least 3 minutes. That's my preference. Is at least 3 minutes. You want to make sure you're very centered, you're very grounded. And that you have your breath very, very aligned. You will then begin to visualize your aura, your energetic field, your bubble, your container that surrounds your physical body. And you're going to bring it into focus from your head to your toe. You're then going to breathe again for another 3 minutes and make sure you're very grounded while that energy and that is being created and that's being held there for you. You're going to focus on that space around you. And then you're going to be able to pull and see those cords. When you can see those cords, you're going to find and visualize and pull through until you find the one that you need. You're going to be able to feel it. You're going to be able to hear it. You're going to be able to see it. And then you can visualize in any way, shape, or form, whether you use a knife, a katana, a sword, scissors, anything at all, but you are actually going to visually cut it. I also physically cut it. Like I physically cut it with my body. Like I physically do the motions as well. But the visualization is really, really key. There are some times where you can do chants and say that you are cutting and releasing this. There are specific incantation and prayers that you can do as well when you're saying that you're cutting this and releasing it. You then watch to see if that cord actually dissipates or if it reattaches. If it reattaches, you make a mental note. And when you're done closing out the ceremony in your spiritual, you do it again. Until when you're going through this, you do not see that cord reattach, revisualize, and re-come up. This may take some time. This is not a fast, quick, easy thing. Like you may be sitting grounded in meditative space for a while before you get access to that and before you are ready to cut that. So make sure you take your time. Make sure you are fully grounded. Make sure you can actually fully see that cord. Make sure you can fully feel that cord. You cut cords and tendrils. Thank you for answering that, Paul. Yes. Okay. In the study guide, I did put a couple different ways to do cord cuttings. There's also ways to where you can have candles and strings. That's another way that you can do a cord cutting ritual as well. And also salt. Having salt there as well to absorb any negative energy there. I've done them to where you have the 2 candles and you have the cord. And you tie it around the 2 candles. While you're doing that, you're setting the intention of who those candles represent, the relationship that that cord represents, and then you are burning those candles down and then cutting that cord. You're actually like manifesting, you're visualizing, you're cutting that cord, you're saying that mantra that you are releasing and cutting this relationship and cutting that cord. I always have a bowl of salt underneath to absorb any negative energy and anything that's being released with that cord being cutting. I feel dumb asking, but how do we know which cord's attached to who? Well, I see that you sometimes can visually see it. You will feel their energy. You will also like sometimes like I hear it. Sometimes I literally hear like who it's attached to. You will literally feel whose energy that's connected to. You will also like there are times again you will also be able to see and them as well. Please invest in a pair of what did you just say, Paul? I just missed it. Yes, I agree with that as well. You can do that. Otherwise, any other type of like sharp object too. I have a knife that I use specifically for cord cutting, and then I also have my katana too that I use as well. So yes, Paul, I totally agree with that as well. I have one that's like I have a knife that's literally just for cord cutting. I don't use it for anything else. It's the only thing it's taken out for. Okay, any other questions on cord cutting before I touch on sorry guys, I'm reading the chat. This is a really long question. I'm gonna say I don't see why it wouldn't be possible, but I personally haven't done that before. So I don't want to say that that's, but I also don't want to say you can't do it. But I personally have done that before. I have not personally connected a cord to somebody. I feel like I don't know if I like that. Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be super complex. But I also don't know if I like forcibly connecting a cord to somebody. But again, it's gonna be everybody's personal practice and everybody's personal belief and what they want to do. Okay, so another way for protection, I've gone over some crystals. You have more in the guide as well. Herbs. Herbs are a great way to protect. Just having them in your home, putting them in satchels, having them around you, even just having them growing in your garden around your property. Herbs are fantastic for protection. You can add them to satchels for protection. You can have them on your altar for protection. You can use herbs for cleansing and smudging, and I'll go over that a little bit more as well in just a bit. But some very common herbs that are great for protection. Sage. Again, be careful about what kind of sage you use. There are certain sages that are for closed practices. So depending on your practice, your culture, please be careful about what sages you use. There's also thyme is a super protective herb. It dispels negative energy from your home. You have rosemary, which is powerful for cleansing and purifying. You can also burn rosemary with charcoal. I really like to combine the two. It's a great mixture for getting rid of negativity and also performing magic rituals. Rue is often used for hex breaking. Super common for hex breaking and curse breaking. Great for protection for that. You have mugwort, which is a very ancient herb for healing magic, and divination, which is a form of protection. It's also attached to protective of the divine feminine. And then you have dill as well. It's burned often to get rid of negativity and to break curses. I had a very bad experience with the cold coven. They had me sign a contract with my blood as a way. Oh, that's gonna be a whole other. Okay, yeah. I'm going to be doing a class on blood magic. I highly recommend you attend that class because I don't want to go. It's very, very complex, and I don't want to take over entire class going into blood magic right now. But yes, I would highly recommend coming to that class when I do that. Bay leaf also very great for protection. I use it all the time. It's great also for success, digestion, healing. Fantastic protection herb. Herbs, like I touched on a little bit before, great for cleansing and purifying. It's a great way to cleanse and purify with smoke. This tradition comes from Native American, many indigenous cultures. It comes from both from across the Americas. The way that we cleanse with smoke now is very deeply rooted in those cultures. They have been using it for centuries. When it comes to cleansing and purifying for protection with herbs, you can, like I said, you can use incense and herbs. You can do it in a herb bundle. Yes, certain herbs you do need to be careful with burning. Yes, you need to make sure you're being very careful with ones. Do the research on what you're burning and what you're what you are combining. So always do the research on the herb before you choose to burn it. But while you are doing your cleansing and stuff, you are always going to be doing some type of, you want to make sure you're grounded. You want to make sure you're centered. You want to make sure you have your intention clear. So whenever I'm cleansing with smoke, I'm making sure my intention is very clear, that I am ridding out negative energies. I am clearing out. I am releasing stagnant energies. You make sure that that intention is very clear. You have that visual energetic barrier bubble with you. You have that visual energetic aura with you that you always use while you're doing this. And then typically you're saying some type of release, like into this smoke, I release all energies that no longer serve me, all negativity that invades my space, all fears that limit me. And you are going to be repeating that over and over again. Some cultures, some practices, they want you going clockwise to bring in things. Some cultures want you going counterclockwise to bring things out. I also will draw sigils with it. The whole concept of this is that everything that's coming into, all that energy is being absorbed into the smoke and being lifted out with the smoke and the element of air and being released. So that is how that is being cleansed and purified for that protection. So that is basic with that. And again, I have so much in the study guide for you guys on that. I have specific prayers, I have specific herbs, I have specific bundles you can use. And again, when it comes to frequency of doing that, you're gonna want to feel your energy, you're gonna want to feel when you want to do it. Personally, anytime somebody comes into my home, every time they're getting cleansed as they enter, as they leave. I do it every full moon, every new moon, every wheel of the year, on literally every morning when I wake up. Every single morning my home gets cleansed and purified. Every single one. Sorry, I just am jumping in the chat really quick. Yes, make sure you don't have allergies. And then if you have asthma, just be careful about how much you do use it. I do have asthma, so there are times to where I cannot do cleansing with smoke as much as I would like. But you can cleanse without smoke. There are other ways to cleanse without smoke. You can do sound for cleansing. So if you have bells, you can ring bells for cleansing the same way that you would do with the smoke. Purifying. You can also use a sound bowl. You can use a fan. You can use,
Yeah, so this is what you gave me.
yeah, you can use a fan. There's lots of different ways you
I
can
knew
do.
there was different sages that you couldn't use. This is what I want.
Oh, that's clear.
Okay, sorry guys, I just had to mute that. Okay. Another way for protection also is just simply decorating your home in a way for protection. You can have protection symbols and sigils. The goddess spiral for protection is a great one. I have that in my home in a couple of different rooms. You can also, with decorations and with tools, for decorating your home for protection, mirrors. They'll look like a decoration, and a lot of them are used for decorations, but if you place them by an entry point, so at your doors or windows, it'll bounce back any unwanted or negative energy. You can have a broom next to the door or above the door to clear out any unwanted energy or unwanted intentions. Also, if you put the broom outside the door, it'll let spirits and energies know that they're welcome. If you put it inside, it lets them know that they're not welcome at that time. Some people use salts. We've talked about that already though in class. Please be careful about that. I don't like it going into the earth. And if you have pets, please be careful about where you put that and how much you put that. You have that smoke. You can also have plants for decorating, and there's literally, you can use plants within your home for protection as decoration within your home. You can have sigils up with decoration. You can have herb bundles all over the place, herb satchels with decorations. Like you can inconspicuously like be protecting your home and have it look, yeah, and like have people literally not know. There's so many ways to do that. Okay, and again, when it comes to cleansing, the next thing you want to do doing after cleansing is going to be blessing. So once you release everything, you want to once you release everything, you want to bless that space. So you want to bring in that spiritual protection, that spiritual space. In the study guide, I have so many different ways on how to bless. I'm just going to ask that you guys read those, honestly, because there's so many different ways to bless. It's going to be depending on your practice. You can do it with tools and without tools. You can do it with prayers, with invocations. You can do it with just energy. So please check that out in the study guide. Make sure that after you cleanse and purify, you do bless your home. And then the next step is going to be warding it after that. So it's going to be warding your property, warding your home. You release, you need to fill that void. Yes, Paul. Yes, 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 yes. I love that you're here tonight because you were putting so much stuff in the chat. It's making me happy. So after you bless you, that's when you can do the warding. That's when you can set up your protection wards. And what is a ward exactly? A ward is an object that works to ward off or scare away negative or unwanted spirits and energy. They're typically placed around the property. They're typically placed around the home. More often than not, they're placed in the four corners, in the four directions. Sorry, I have to cough for a second. And then typically, like once they're laid, they do need to be refreshed, but they're typically laid for a decent amount of time. I don't know how often Paul refreshes his, but mine typically get refreshed like every 3 months. Or at the Sabbats as well. I refresh them at the Sabbats as well. But wards can be simply stones. They can be statues of deities or angels. They can be protective animals. They can be protective symbols. And things like that. So that's what wards can be. Okay, hold on. I'm jumping in the chat here for a second. I see a couple things going off. Can I use spirits that I manifest? Okay, so yes, you can, but that's a very complicated topic because you can't force anybody to do anything. You can't force any spirits or any entity to do anything that they don't want to do. So you can ask, and you can ask for their assistance, and there are things that you can do that, but I don't believe that you can force them to do anything. That depends on your path. I don't believe that whatever you put out in the universe comes back to you. I do not believe in the threefold law. That's not something I believe in. I don't believe in that. But if you do believe in that, then I would advise against doing that if that falls in your path. But that is not everybody's path. Everybody's path is different. Everybody has different views on karma. Everybody has different views on those rules. Again, like threefold law is not, it's not something I believe in and I don't subscribe to. Okay, and then when it comes to magical wards, they are a way to safeguard your home, your dwelling. They can also be magical wards for, you can place magical wards on your, entities and beings as well. They can safeguard, but typically wards are for property and places like dwellings. Typically that's where wards are, but you can do them as personal protective wards as well. Because those will be seen in like talismans and totems and things like that. When it comes to wards, they are really going to be kind of what you set them up as. They're going to be able to filter in and out. It's kind of like a security system, really. It's like your spiritual, magical security system. That's what a ward is. No, I don't. I mean, I can't say that I haven't heard them referred to as that. Like, you can use, I guess, if you use them as a word of like, as if you look at them as a form of a totem, I could see them using as words. But typically my spirit guides are not, I don't use them as words. Do I use their energy? Yes. So what does the word ward mean? So again, the ward is an object that works to ward off or scare away or to deter any negative or unwanted spirit or energy. They prevent negative intruders as well. They're protective magic that can be used daily. And again, you lay them and they can literally stop anybody with ill intentions to come forward to you. That's what they're meant for. You can do that as well. Wards also, this is where you'll see it. These use a lot with warding off the evil eye and psychic attacks. This is where people use them a lot. Is for that specific purpose. I'll see that very common with that. They stop the psychic harm from happening. They stop psychic harm from going within your personal space, within your dwelling, within your home. So in some practices, the evil eye is, this one is, yeah, the evil eye is interesting for me. So in some practices, they believe that the evil eye is literally like 10% of all psychic attacks come from actual ill intent, whereas 90% of them are actually just the energy and what happens with you. The evil eye is like a way of people like spying on you. It's a term used for people cursing you, people wanting to psychically attack you. It's also a symbol. Like, it's a symbol that's used as well. When it comes to protecting against it, an award, I did put something in the study guide actually for you, to put around your dwelling space for that. A lot of people say that the evil eye greatly increases nightmares. So some people think that as well. Again, I don't experience the dream world, so I don't know about that. And like Paul said too, the evil eye, some cultures think it's good luck. That's why this one's kind of tricky for me to, it's hard for me to talk about because it's not black and white with this one. But if they do feel this way, like, this is a term, it's also a really cultural, like, I guess not cultural, but kind of more of like a pop culture term. Nowadays, it's becoming a really modernized where people use the evil eye pretty much for anybody that has any type of negative feelings towards you or negative energy towards you. I've also heard the evil eye even just referenced to people just like giving you a negative look. So it's also getting kind of modernized now and kind of getting changed from its original purpose. Okay, I'm double checking the chat here really quick. Paul, you do monthly or depending on what I'm doing. I figured you did yours probably a little bit more often than I did. I feel like you have more property though than I do. So that's also probably why you do it more. Because I feel like you have way more property than I do. But what would be the shape of a ward like a sigil? So sigils are whatever you make them. I will get to that. So you can ward inside your home. You don't have, it doesn't have to be outside. And you can also do your door frames and your window seals. So like I have like one of my big wards is literally right at my threshold of my door. Like, it's literally right at my threshold. It is an owl statue that I have that's attached to Lilith. It's been consecrated in her. I've created the entire ward that goes with her. And it sits right at my doorway. Yeah, sigils is a whole topic itself. Paul is very right. When it comes to creating sigils, sigils can be used for protection. In the back of the study guide, I have a bunch in there that I've personally used for protection and for in my home. Some of them I've drawn, some of them are my own personal creations, and some I've actually taken from others. If I took them from others, I gave them their credit there for you. But if you really want detailed on how to do sigil work, please take our sigilization class. We do have a sigilization class. When it comes to sigils, like that's a whole thing. Like there are there's different ways how to cast them, different ways how to use them, the intention, how to charge them. But yes, sigils, again, like in the back of the study guide, I have some in there for you to use. But sigils is a whole other topic. Our horseshoes words, that is a Celtic tradition. Yes, that is a Celtic tradition. That is one that I've seen in Celtic and Irish lore, where horseshoes are placed at thresholds for to only allow positive spirits in. Had a glass eye charm meant to protect from the evil eye in a snap. It could mean, yeah, it did its job. Could mean that, yes. Yes, agreed. Okay, so in the study guide, like I said, I do have lots of different, very specific written out ways of how to create wards. And then, like I said, typically they're placed in the 4 directions. Typically they're placed in the 4 directions. They're placed all around your home. They're going to represent those 4 directions and the elements as well. I also have wards, like I said, attached to deities. They can be attached to your own personal entities. Yes, you are right. Italians do use his horseshoes as well. You are very right. I don't know why I forgot them. Thank you. Okay. I'm trying to decide what to do here, guys, because I am only about halfway through this study guide, and we have 8 minutes left of class. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I think this is actually a good stopping point because now we're getting to tools. We're getting to tools. We're getting to chants. We're getting to how to make. I'm getting into how to make actually protective tools, all the different protective tools, all the different protective spells you can use. And the more baneful stuff and blood magic and all of that. So, yep, this was not my intention. So I really hope that you guys will come back to the second class because I'm actually going to bump next week's topic and we're going to do protection in 2 weeks. I should have seen this when I made this. The study guide, which is really a book for you guys, because there's just so much to protection, and I want to make sure you guys have all your options available to you. Like I said, protection's really endless. The options you have for protection is endless. It's a really huge topic to cover, but it seems to be a very common topic that everybody who's coming to this path really wants to know. They all should know, and I want to make sure you guys have the access to it. Okay, thank you for putting the study guide in there. It's just about to do that. Okay. So the study guide's in there. Okay, fabulous. So thank you guys so much for being with me tonight. Do you guys have any questions before we go? I know I covered a lot already on protection. This was really actually mainly energetic work and a basic overview on protection. Next week we'll go over tools and rituals and spells, and all of that junk. And again, I have baneful stuff in there as well. I'm going to give you a brief overview of blood magic. I'm going to go over glamour. I'm going to go over freezer, binding, all of that stuff. So yeah, Paul, I'm so happy you were here tonight. You made this a very, very easy for me tonight. Cleanse, bless, ward. Is there more steps? For that, no. That's where you would stop with that. Cleanse, and ward is where you'll stop with that. Thank you for all the links you're putting in there, Paul. Okay, again, thank you so much, everybody, for being here with me tonight. I really hope you enjoyed it. I don't know why it's not working for you. I don't know if you need to use a different device because I literally created a brand new link that time, and everybody should have access to it, and it's opening for me. So I maybe try a different device. Otherwise, it could be the browser too. Otherwise you can send me a direct message, and if it's not working, I can try to email it to you. So if you send me a direct message on Facebook, I can try to email it to you too, and you can try that way, to see if maybe you just need the actual like file and not the Google Docs. But yes, try that. If you do, like I said, reach out to me personally if it doesn't work. But thank you again so much for everybody being here with me tonight. Please send us a message to enroll as a student so that you can come to my next class. You can see part 2. And then I have so many other topics I'm going to be covering, and I already have covered. I have a bonus class coming up on Saturday that's all about how to work with deities and how deity energy works and how to work with deities, who to know who's calling to you, all of that. And then Sunday we have Dark Goddess devotionals. This week we're going over the Greek goddess Eris. She collectively is massively affecting the world right now, and I really wanted to cover her. No, it doesn't cost anything to enroll. We are a free pagan academy. We believe that everything that we give to you should be free and accessible to you. Everything is free. So please reach out to us. Fabulous. Have a good night, guys. Again, send a direct message, DiviNation, Facebook. Let me grab the link really quick.
And just real quick, I have been working on messaging people back during class. So we are working on it right now if you've messaged us today.
Oh, for enrolling students?
Yes.
I started last night too.
I grabbed somebody that messaged from this Zoom call. So.
Oh, wow. Okay, fabulous. Okay, yes. So awesome. Admins are on it tonight, guys. We are chugging through this. So again, thank you so much for being here with me, you guys. I super appreciate it. I really hope you come into more of my classes, and I really hope to see you again. Thank you so much, guys. Have a good evening.